Hi everyone, here's a short video about how to plant up the bulbs that we've just released.
Okay, hi. Today we're looking at Caladium bulbs that we're just releasing. So you'll receive these in the mail. So you'll first want to just inspect them and make sure they feel quite hard and firm. Just press gently. And then you can see that's the top part of the Caladium. And then that's the bottom. So it's quite easy to see. The bottom's usually a lighter colour and quite smooth. And that's the top. So that's the way we'll plant them up. Some bulbs can look a bit different, like that looks a lot different. But you still see, even though it's not quite as flat, it's still white and smooth.
So those little sprouts there, does that not mean it's the top of the bulb? It's just that black one that's the top?
This is your very top of your bulb, but
yeah.
All these sprouts will produce leaves. So they're all like eyes, like you get on the stem of a plant, where you have eyes where it can shoot. So these bulbs or tubers have the same thing, they have eyes.
Okay.
And they're all those multiple little pink shoots you can see. That's where all leaves will come out, but your main biggest leaves will come out from the top.
Okay.
So these will produce leaves probably by the end of summer. You'll have leaves up to 20-30 centimeters in size, so
okay,
you'll get quite a good size.
All right,
so first just inspect, and now we're going to look at about potting them.
Okay.
So first we'll get a 140 ml pot. It's probably ideal size to start them off with. Later in the season, when the plant grows quite big, you can plant it, maybe it'll be looking at December, January. You can put it into a 200 ml pot if you want, but the 140 ml will be sufficient for the whole time. Just it can get a bit top heavy with the big leaves. So the 200 ml will just keep it a little bit sturdier from blowing over.
Okay.
But there's enough root area there for that plant to grow.
Okay.
So we're going to look about planting. So first, potting mix. Potting mix must be well drained. So you just want like quite a barky mix. You can mix a bit of perlite through it, but you should be able to squeeze it and then it's still loose.
Okay.
So it shouldn't, if you squeeze it and it stays in that sort of shape, then the mix isn't drained enough.
Okay.
So it should just fall apart like that.
Okay.
Okay, so first we'll fill the pot up to roughly the level we think we're going to plant it at. So with your bulb, you want to plant it about twice the depth down.
Okay.
So that'll be your soil there, down the bottom of the bulb, and then you'll have like one bulb height of soil on top.
Okay.
So that's roughly that height there. So just roughly put it in the center. Mm-hmm. Caladiums are very easy. Even if you accidentally plant it on the side or something, it will still reshoot.
Okay.
So, or even if the depth's up a bit higher, it will still shoot. Just usually the plant will anchor down better, and as it gets its leaves, it'll be much sturdier down at that depth.
Okay.
And if you have it planted too high and you get a bit of wind, the bulb can sort of rock because it doesn't have that sort of secure soil down below holding it down.
Okay.
So simply sprinkle your potting mix on top. Sort of so you've got a little bit of a dome, see that looks a bit higher, but then you'll just give it a little bit of a shake.
Okay.
And that's all. A lot of people press down potting mix, but don't do that because your potting mix is full of air, and as you press that down, you're compacting it. Mm-hmm. And roots are like, they need air to breathe just like we do. So you need lots of air pockets in your soil. So never sort of press down hard on it.
Okay. All
you just do is just a light shake like that. It levels the pot off and it's done. And the only other thing we'll do is about a teaspoon of slow release fertilizer.
Okay.
We always use Osmocote.
So we provide the professional edition.
And just roughly sprinkle it around the edge of the pot.
Okay.
And that's done. And now the last thing we'll do is just water it in. We only water it once until it sends up its sprout.
Okay.
So the watering in will just wet that potting mix.
Okay.
But don't worry if it gets quite dry afterwards. It's just to wet the potting mix to settle it in.
And how long will it take to sprout?
It depends on your area, but you should see a sprout with between 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
And once your first sprout starts to come, then you can start to water, but not a lot, just it might be once every sort of 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
And you must keep your pot in a nice bright lit area on a windowsill where it gets sun through, that's fine. Once it starts to sprout, probably don't have direct sun through a window on it, just filtered light.
Okay.
Good light. So first I'll grab a watering can and we'll water it in for you.
Okay.
So a good soaking. I'll lift the pot up in a minute and you'll see. So you want to see water running out like that.
Alright.
So let it completely drain outside and then you can bring it inside once it's finished. Maybe leave it for about an hour.
Okay.
If you're in a warmer area, you can have them outside, but most people in Australia will probably have them inside to start with till spring.
And can you have them, if you're in a colder area, can you have them outside during the day and bring them in at night?
You can if you want, and if you have time to do that, but make sure you don't forget.
Because if you forget, it's going to be stuffed.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that's all basically?
Yes, caladiums are very simple, but very, very rewarding. So, like, you just get that little bulb, and then in summer you're just going to have these beautiful big leaves with very little effort.
And what if you want to put these in the ground? Do you put them in the ground now, or do you do this and then put them in the ground after?
No, in the ground. If you do, you can put them in the pot to start with.
Yep.
Or if you want, you'd have to wait till any cold or frost finishes before you plant them in the ground. So the bulbs are fine to store. You can store those bulbs for probably a good 2 months.
Okay.
Before planting, if you want to.
Okay. All right. I think that's it.
Yep, but yeah, caladium's one of the easiest plants to grow. But
so we sell the 140ml pots in the black and purple, and we sell the professional edition of the Osmocote fertilizer. And what do these, so the colocasia, alocasia and caladium spray that we use, the fluvalinate, is that the only thing that they need as a pesticide?
Yeah, caladiums suffer from very little pests. Probably the worst pest is caterpillars in summer, which usually chew the leaves.
And that's the...
Yeah, occasionally you'll get mealybug in the bases of the stems. Quite rare for that.
But that's when you overwater and the drainage isn't good, or...?
Mealybug can just be caused, like often ants infest them with mealybug.
Okay.
But that's usually caterpillars are the worst problem. But if you only have 1 or 2 plants, just even inspect your leaves on the undersides, and usually if you do it, you know, early evening, just as it's getting dark, you can find, because sometimes the caterpillars will hide down at the base, but then they'll start to come out.
So do you use the fluvalinate as a preventative, or do you use it on caterpillars and stuff?
Usually use it just on site, so if you start to see leaves getting eaten.
So they don't need a 6 to 8 week preventative like normal plants do?
No.
So if you've got the regimen and you've got the 3 different chemicals, you don't spray your caladiums every 6 to 8 weeks?
No.
Okay, you just leave them and watch them?
Yeah, just always inspect, and yeah, it's just usually leaves getting chewed by caterpillars.
Okay, alright. Okay, that's it I think.